welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Alana here. Welcome back to 3 Degrees of Love Divination. So, happy worm blood moon. It's Friday, March 14th, 2025. We've already sprung forward, if you will, and it's almost spring, but more importantly, this is another installment, if you will, of A Cup of Love mindful messages for this week. I kind of held off on doing this. I wanted to do it earlier this week, but I think too, besides me trying to get all my feelings on board, if you will, and also with the full moon coming up, we've entered Mercury retrograde. We have a lunar eclipse, and all of this, shift in, planetary, shifting and whatnot. I am a Virgo sun, so it's a full moon in my sun sign. And so, yeah, this week was definitely a emotional roller coaster, if you will. But anyways, with all that being said, here is another week's worth of mindful messages. And so it's pick 3 like I did last time. If you haven't seen the first one I did, please go and check that out. And when I say first, what I mean by the pick 3, because yes, I've done other collective readings on my channel before, and I've done A Cup of Love readings, but never really a pick 3. So I figured, pick a pile, whichever one calls to you. I forgot I didn't put the stones on, but we're just gonna go with that. So you have a pendulum. I forget which stone this is. And of course we have rose quartz. So if I remember, I will definitely put it up on screen once I in editing, if I remember what stone this is, because right now at the top of my head I can't think. But big heart, little heart, we'll just go with that, and pendulum. So you decide, and I'll give you a moment to do that, and then we'll get started. Also know that as I, whatever messages come up, if it applies to you and your situation, if you find, any sort of meaning, behind it, and it fits for you, by all means take it, and whatever doesn't suit you, you leave it for someone else who needs to hear it. Also, I have changed over a few decks. So, and of course, technically I would say, it's with the exception of maybe 2 decks, even though technically they're still themed. But I want to say it's an all black cast today. And why I say that is because all of the creators in the decks that I'm using, with the exception of the playing cards, even though they are still, Black culture themed, these are by Theory 11. We have the Black Panther playing cards and the Outcast playing cards, which I'm still using. And those are there as well. Something new too that wasn't in my last pick a card is the Golden Mantras affirmation deck by Destiny Taylor, illustrated by Kat Willett, and this is by RP Studios, published by RP Studios. And I don't recall, which I don't think I did, but reading from Secrets of the Ancestors Oracle. And then we have the Elemental Alchemist, and this is the same by Nyasha Williams and Grace Banda, illustrated by Kamisha Nadu, and this is, of course, the companion Oracle deck to, but this is published by Andrews McMeel Publishing, and of course, but is the companion Oracle deck to this tarot, the Black Tarot, an Ancestral Awakening deck and guidebook. So, and then some other ones that you've already seen, and I've already talked about, Signs of Our Times, and of course, the Life is Like a Board Game tarot deck. So, the only thing that isn't here this time that was in the last pick 3 mindful messages, and that would be the Ascending Assertion deck, again published by Andrews McMeel Publishing, but authored by R.H. Sin. And as you know, he is one of my favorite authors, poetry writers. So, yeah. But anyway, so into the pick 3, we'll start off with the pile with the pendulum on it. So, let me just move these ones up. Take the pendulum off. And all right, so let's start off with the top card, and the first one, of course, this is the Secrets of the Ancestors Oracle, and the card first is 9, the Loner, isolation and introspection. And then we have actually, so again, being that this year 2025 is a hermit year, also the fact that, you know, Chinese New Year, this is the year of the wood snake, and, you know, given the fact that 9, the number 9 in the tarot, is the equivalent to the Hermit card, and, you know, it's that idea that, you know, this is a time to really, especially with today being full moon in Virgo, the idea of going within and doing that introspection. Taking that time to really reflect on our life's choices, especially when it comes to the choices we've made influenced by our emotions, and the impact that has on self as well as those around us. So, we have, oh my God. Okay, so yeah, that's exactly what I was basically just saying. We have the 23, we have number 23, and it's the moon card, all about emotions. And, you know, it's all about, as with this being a full moon, also with, you know, the lunar eclipse, it's everybody we meet in our lives that we've come into contact with. Well, we all are a reflection of one another. And a lot of the times when people come into our lives, there's something in that interaction that is a reflection of us, or something we need to heal. Something that okay. So the camera kind of turned off. I'm not exactly sure why, but I was saying about the fact that, you know, we're all reflections of one another, and the people that come into our lives often with our interactions are there as reflections to things that we may need to heal within ourselves, take a deeper look at, and gain a better understanding. And the only way to do that is by taking that time to slow down, isolate, and do the introspection, getting in touch and in tune with our emotions, getting to understand them. And so, you know, one of the things that I talk about when I speak about, you know, my work in therapy, and also, you know, I've mentioned getting to know our saboteurs, getting to know the parts of ourselves, doing that shadow work, right? That are a hindrance, to our greatest good, and as well as the greatest good of all, of everyone around us, right? So yeah, okay. And then actually, you know what? Let me just read from the Secrets of the Ancestors, because I don't think I did that in the last video, but I want to read from this one. 9. Okay. The Loner. Isolation and introspection. Be still and know. The answers you seek are within. You are entering a time of deep self-reflection. Take a step back. Distance yourself from petty people, dramas, and issues. Between social media and obligations, the world can feel non-stop. The innermost cave holds the gold. The guru is within. A moment of solitude holds gems for you. This is not a time to plow forward. Take a beat and withdraw. Ancestral memory. The Loner depicts an elder from the Karu people of Ethiopia. By keeping to themselves, the artistic and beautifully adorned Karu people have been able to maintain their way of life for over 500 years. There is strength to be gained from taking time away from others. Ancestral medicine. For some of your ancestors, being alone with their thoughts was the last thing they needed. My child, allow yourself to take time when needed. Shadow aspect reversed. You are feeling isolated and alone. Insanity has been defined as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So why do you keep doing the same thing over and over again? You are a hot mess right now. Allow yourself to have love and friendship in your life to balance the busy voices in your head. Allow yourself to have love and friendship in your life to balance the busy voices in your mind. Tarot correspondence, the Hermit. declaration, I trust my inner voice. So yeah, so I really love that, and it's really speaks to that understanding of generational trauma, you know, and that repetitive pattern, that karmic cycle that we seem to relive within our own families. Even, and of course I like to, you know, take things, you know, to the macro level as well, you know, from the micro, the meso to the macro, you know, and the fact that going within and really getting to know the inner workings of self, and how that in all aspects, that inner self affects the outer. And so when we look at, you know, generationally speaking, how, you know, what the world's been like, how it is, and the individual contributions that is made to the collective, and how that impacts the whole for all of us. So, you know, that idea of equal rights, right? All of humanity is to be measured and given the same respect throughout all. It doesn't matter race, gender, sexual orientation, what, you know, age, abilities. You just need to be human, and we're all living a human experience. So it's that understanding. Okay. Then we have inspiration / creativity. So really getting to know and bringing ourselves into alignment with who we're meant to be. Who are we spiritually beyond the physical body? And allowing all that inspires us to shine and bring a new, fresh ways of living. Not just sticking to what we've been taught, what we've what we've learned, and the karmic cycles and patterns of behavior that have been etched into us and nurtured into us, and that continues to be the cycle throughout our generations. I talk about and I think I've spoken to this about this in previous videos, but even you know, that the idea of the various generations. So, you know, from A to Z, right? If we have A, B equals C, and somehow along the lines, when we talk about love is love, and the whole historical reasoning behind things like Black History Month, Pride, International Women's Day, all of these are to bring and highlight different aspects of humanity and the recognition of each. And so if that if any of these categories of humanity, if you will, if they were all equally respected to begin with, would we really have a need to highlight any which one? No. Because they would all be important. We would just be celebrating the human existence. But because, right, and the example that I use, taken from, the LGBTQ community, and the amount of letters that have had to be added over the course of their that group's existence, because their respect isn't being acknowledged, their respect isn't being heard, their rights are being impeded on, right? We have these different women's rights, Black rights, Asian rights, it's all about humanity. And we all have the creativity within us all to build a better and brighter future. But only if we take the time to really dive in and be willing to explore the different aspects of self and appreciating that, but also calling out the parts that are not serving the greatest and highest good. Okay, so now we have a affirmation. I am here at this present point in time by no mistake. 41. And that is true. We all have our story. Okay, so here we have the Seven of Knives. And everything that we've experienced in our lives is the reason why we are where we're at this present moment in time. So take that what you will from a micro perspective, from your own individual process and the things that that you've gone through and experienced in your life, but also, and remember, that's good or bad, right? Like, I mean, there are various things that occur for all of us, and being able to take stock of those things. So, for example, when I work or do my work in therapy, and also the self-reflection, and really going about, the different events in my life, what I experienced, but looking also at what is there for me to learn from. What do I need to learn from? Right? That's where the shadow work aspect comes in. And so with the Seven of Knives, now remember, what we've all experienced are traumas, anything that has affected us negatively speaking, well, even generationally speaking as well, really sort of sets the mental tone, if you will, to how we respond in various situations when we meet other people, right? And now those traumas, the double-edged sword, we have behind here a person, or we have behind the person these knives, which represent the mental aspect of ourselves, right? Now, as you can see in this particular deck, in the Black Tarot, this person looks like they're ready for a fight, for battle, right? So to me, it's definitely about taking that deeper reflection to what are the things that trigger us and why they trigger us. And does it justify the response that we may have when we're dealing with other people, or any other situations that come about? Now, the reason why I say that is also because remembering that as our trauma influences us, right? It really can mess with our sense of intuition, and especially when lowering our vibrations, right? Because we have so much unhealed trauma and the effects of that, we tend to have this urge for protection of self-preservation, whether or not it's warranted, because not every situation warrants defense. But oftentimes we resort to that because of the unhealed, because of these mental aspects that have, or triggers rather, that have been created as a form of defense. But the reason why, again, understanding being in the present moment, right? The interactions we have, the reflections that may then entail, showing us, triggering us, and triggering the traumas so that we could unpack and understand them better. Because as we get to understand ourselves in that capacity better, we're better able to decipher whether or not this defense is warranted, or if it is just, or if it is just a byproduct response of past events. And that can be, again, moving from the micro outer, right? Can be a defense that is then inhabited by family, by our communities, and essentially on a very mass scale, globally speaking. And why, going back to what I spoke about in regards to, having these, speaking out of various celebrations for these different aspects of community. So Black History Month, Pride, International Women's Day, all of these things are are things that arise as a way to bring recognition to these marginalized groups of people. If we were all adhering and vibing at the highest frequency with the understanding that we are all love, then we would just be celebrating humanity as a whole. So, this is why taking the necessary time to do the self-reflection and the introspection is important. So, kind of going back to, or even just an example of this on a sort of global scale, right? Everything that's happening now, you know, even with, you know, the current president, and this is, yeah, and the effects, like I've seen the example that I'm trying to get at is that there was a video on TikTok, was it TikTok or Instagram? I can't remember now, one of these social media platforms. And the video was about farmers and farmers in the US. And the fact that we have with the changes in policies and stuff like that, the things, the support that farmers need, or financial support that farmers were getting, is something that apparently is being eliminated. And you have a lot of farmers who are now upset, who are speaking out of the injustice that has been going on. Mind you, these are farmers of a particular ethnicity that is speaking out loudly. Whereas, and then the question that was posed is that why Black farmers aren't as infuriated. And it's not to say they don't have reason to be. But what the response or the answer that came up that was discussed in this video is the idea that those farmers who are considered to be of color have always been, for as long as history shows, they have always been denied specific benefits that other farmers had the opportunity to obtain. And now that that is being eliminated, there's that complaint. The unfair, the unjust. Well, this is where the idea, when it comes to, when I say the shadow work has to not only be on a micro level, on an individual level, but has to illuminate every aspect of life, right? So that's why when I talk about the meso and the macro, right? Because you have whole groups of people who were denied a particular benefit that others had no problem receiving. And right? So what is the issue at hand? That the unjust fairness on the equality of human existence. Because of the historical repetition, karmic cycle, however it was, of denying particular set of farmers from obtaining what it was required for their success, that was something they've grown accustomed to. So there was nothing that they were now suddenly being denied further of where that is concerned, because they've always been. But now that another group of farmers is being denied, that's when it's being brought to the forefront. So really taking a look and a deep dive as to why that is, why that unjust, that unfairness, even, and that double standard was even occurred in the first place. So if we're fighting now, we're fighting because there's a common understanding, a lack. But the fairness, it's really the idea of digging deeper to really understand the issue at hand, the problem, the disconnect of equality. Okay. Next, we have Moment of Glory Gardens. 6 of Wands. So it's coming to me, this is where, again, just sort of speaking off, when we can dig deeper and really get to understand these senses of triggers, these elements of response that we have, when we get to really understand what aspects are in hindrance and go against that sense of equality, that goes against that fairness amongst all human beings. That is how we can eliminate the darkness, by shedding light on it, by transmuting the negativity into something positive. So now with another set of farmers who were always getting said benefits and now are being denied it, when another group of farmers were always denied, that allows for an illumination of the injustice. And now with that, we can address the matter on a whole. It's brought to light where prior to that, certain things went and were brushed under the rug. The times of the karmic injustice of marginalized groups, there's an opportunity to change that cycle of that karmic cycle of negative behavior for the greater and higher regard for all. Okay. Now we have the Nine of Cups and the Five. So the Nine of Cups translated to the Nine of Hearts, right? Because in a playing card deck, it's hearts, not cups. But it's, yes, allowing the abundance of love and understanding and recognition of what has been denied certain groups. Why? Why the sense of inequality? Okay, so that's pile number one. Okay, pile number two. Actually, that's not how I wanted to do it. Pile number two. Okay. So first off, we have, and I forget what stone this is again, but like I said, once I figure it out in editing, I will put it up. But yeah. Anyhow, so this is the bigger heart. Let's just go with that. 23, we have Root of Fire. Risk it all. Okay. Let me read what this one has to say. This is Secrets of the Ancestors. This is 23. We have... Okay, so 23. Root of Fire, risk it all. 23, Root of Fire, risk it all. Yes, you can make it happen. It is safe for you to feel beyond your usual limits. Embrace your personal freedom and follow your passion. Be curious. If you are an advocate for social issues or an activist, let your voice be heard. You can make a difference. All root and plant spirits are messengers. The root of fire, also called the African dream root, is an indication to move ahead. This plant cester wants you to explore your passions with enthusiasm. Ancestral memory. African dream root was instrumental in helping goddess warrior Queen Mother Nani and the Maroons in Jamaica in their fight for liberation. African dream root is also used by the Hausa people of South Africa for lucid dreaming and in spiritual initiations. Ancestral medicine. Stop tiptoeing. Your ancestors were brave in ways that you cannot even imagine. Acknowledge their lessons of courage within your own journey. Shadow aspect reversed. Your own thoughts and beliefs are holding you back. Are you feeling impatient? You may be easily swayed or deceived. Brace yourself for potential bad news. There is nothing that you can't handle. Tarot correspondence, Page of Wands. Declaration: I am passionate about my next steps. Yes. You know, when I think about, as I read that, I was thinking about the idea of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That And I mean, I've heard that saying before, even if even if that's not quite how it goes, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty much what it is, right? So the understanding that so again, going back to this whole idea of marginalized people, right? All these various groups of marginalized people that have existed over time. Of course, they're all fighting about different issues, right? You have women fighting about women's rights. You have those of the LGBTQ community, you have them fighting for equality and human rights. You have the Black community, Black Lives Matter. You have those that live with various aspects of disability or anything that makes life difficult for said person or people, right, who are being denied access to certain benefits. The idea of the fact that we're in a global mental health crisis. And if you remember for my Bell Let's Talk Day video that I did this year, in collab with other members of the tarot community and advocates for mental health, and even, just in the various videos I've done previously for Bell Let's Talk Day, as a mental health advocate, in the most recent video, we talked about statistics and the amount of people who are suffering and go on suffering without ever getting the support and services required for them to get better, right? We have our various levels of in society of when it comes to financial status, right? And the limited amount of resources that is being left, right? So when we have the majority of the world's finances being held by the very few, right? And then we have all these various groups within society that are considered marginalized. But when everyone or the majority of people are now being marginalized, even groups of individuals who were never necessarily marginalized throughout society, and that's happening to them now. Well, in this case, the idea of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, meaning that all these various marginalized groups within society now get together and are risking it all, using their voice to speak on one another's behalf for the greatest and highest good of all. Because everyone equally deserves the same understanding and respect and support. Right? Okay. So, we have one evil eye protection. So, I feel like that's just, self-explanatory in that regard. But also what comes up is the idea of not allowing the negative aspects of self, of other selves, be a reason that we hold ourselves back from speaking up and speaking just. Okay. Next we have instability. I want to read this card for instability. And this is from the Elemental Alchemist. Okay. So, let's see. This is the... That would be... All right, so this is water. So yeah, the influctuations of our feelings, the triggers, the negative responses that we all have, that we've what's the word I'm looking for? That we've all have gained as a result to the trauma that we've endured over the course of our life, that makes our emotions, or has made our emotions, very flighty. Okay. Okay, here we go. Instability. To be completely healthy, you must take care of all aspects of your health: physical, spiritual, intellectual, social, environmental, occupational, and emotional. All must be nurtured with the understanding that none is separate from the others in finding total wellness. Most ancient civilizations believed that all parts of health, as intangible as they may seem, have a physical presence and impact. Our wellness can be compromised by a lack of support, trauma, negative thinking habits, and chronic substance abuse. Brain, mental health is everyday health. Regular checkups in all aspects of health must be normalized and as casual as any physical annual checkup. With daily wear and tear, just like our bodies, brains need love and bandages too. A big step toward honoring all parts of your health is giving yourself grace and compassion and extending that same compassion and grace to others. Does your energy exertion match your energy receival? When was the last time you moved your body with intention? Are you fighting or inviting life? Take action. Evaluate your health and wellness. List where you are admirably taking care of you and areas of wellness that need more attention. Absolutely. All right, so our affirmation here: I am me, I am accepted, I am appreciated, I am loved. 46. So far, all from what I'm gathering from all of these cards are basically stating the fact that live in your authentic truth. Be true to yourself and let that truth shine through for all to see. But as you do so, extending that same understanding and consideration to all of those, regardless of what community they come from. Because if you look really deep, you'll see that we all have more commonalities than differences. Yes, we all have our differences. Yes, we all come from and have our different journeys in life and our various likes and dislikes. But on a more simpler scale, we are much more alike than we are different. So remembering that. As above, so below, as within, so without. Okay, and then we have Four of Wands. So that having that, building that sense of community with like-minded individuals, with all sharing a common goal, which is love, acceptance, and understanding. Right? Okay. Then we have soulmates and connection place. Two of Cups. When we show up authentically, completely, it's in that we will then attract our counterpart or counterparts, right? So not just necessarily, those that are in that sense, a twin flame or having a significant other. Building a sense of community with like-minded individuals from various walks of life. We have the Seven of Diamonds, Seven of Pentacles. And of course, the Ace of Swords, Ace of Spades. So building a strong foundation for a sense of community. Cutting through the fakeness. Reaching out instead of shying away from connecting with other individuals that are like-minded. Also recognizing in what aspects that we've allowed our traumatic responses from allowing us to connect with other like-minded individuals because we're too scared or too triggered by another person's way of being, because the trauma responses that we've built up in our minds is keeping us stuck. That gets in the way of accepting and being appreciative of others. And of course, self. Okay. That is pile number 2. And now for the wee rose quartz. We have pile number 3. Okay, so pile number 3, we have 14, the peacemaker, persistent patience. Okay, let's read that one. 14, the peacemaker, persistent patience. Okay. So from Secrets of the Ancestors Oracle, don't force anything. You made it. Consider this a hug and a reminder. It's all working out for you, but just take it easy. This is a moment of healing, harmony, and alchemy. Just avoid extremes and go with the flow. Everything in moderation. You are creating something new. Remain flexible, beautiful. You are stronger than you think. Ancestral memory. The peacemaker shows up as Egyptian goddess Maat, one foot in the water and the other on land. Ancestral medicine. Family healing is key with most issues of addiction and overindulgence. However, this is a journey you must first walk yourself. Write a letter to a personal area of imbalance, addiction, or overindulgence. Shadow aspect, reversed. You are too attached to a specific situation, person, or event. You are doing way too much. Distance yourself with grace. There is instability in your energetic vibration. Tarot correspondence, temperance. Declaration, my life is aligned and I go with the flow. All right. This is a woman who is shining brightly, authentically, and balanced and in harmony with the present moment, with what is happening. Healing work. To do the healing work, once we're on that path, it takes persistent patience. Healing is not a straight line. And the way water flows isn't straight either. So it's that understanding that going with the flow, hitting the various twists and turns within life, being present and authentic and balanced is important. And it's only through doing the slowing down and doing the introspection can we come to understand what that balance entails for each of us. Okay. Next, we have 3, yield, patience. So not rushing the process. Taking the necessary time to slow down. Maybe there's something that we are hoping for, waiting for, that we, like I know for myself, patience is a very hard thing. Well, and it depends. It depends on what it is. If it's something that I want, or that I'm waiting for, or that I'm excited to either experience or receive, the patience is very minimal. But having patience for someone else, for, a particular situation to come to a conclusion, depending on what it is, sure. I can have patience to sit and watch through a movie, but having patience to wait on a package, depending on the package, not so much. My feelings, hyperactive, and when is it coming? Are we there yet? No, we're not there yet? Oh my gosh. Okay. I think we've all could have experienced that. But when it comes to like the idea of Rome wasn't built in a day, the idea of having to restart your life after a tower moment and then working to rebuild, well, having patience while rebuilding can be very, very difficult, because the demise of our previous self was traumatic. And nobody wants to have to begin again. Not when it's forced upon us. If we, on the other hand, make that conscious choice to begin again, well, that might be different. Because now we're probably on a new journey that we're excited to engage with. So, yeah. Okay. Next, we have arrogance. Woo. Yeah. So there's definitely something to be had. Okay, I'm going to read this card. The arrogance. Okay. Again, from the Elemental Alchemist. And this is a fire element here. Right. Arrogance. Okay. Arrogance. Arrogance is fear-based and works as a disguise that signals insecurities and a false belief of superiority. You are being called to reflect on your behavior, redirecting from an outward to inward focus. Often arrogance operates as a defense mechanism along with the desire to be seen. Make the active choice to accept and be comfortable with yourself, your path, and your abilities. Your walk and journey are your own and cannot be compared with or rated against anyone else's. Know that perfection is an unattainable facade and make peace with life being a continual space to grow. You will make mistakes and you will not always know the answer. Respond with honesty and take accountability for your decisions. Our evolution is reliant on insights, guidance, experiences, observations, and interactions with others. Understand how others impact your walk and credit them. Step in humility, as there is always more to learn. Do you see others as equals or competitors? How do you react when others don't share your worldview? Are you good at being corrected lovingly by others? Take action. When communicating, reflect on the following. What are you assuming right now? Are you speaking with the desire to be seen or the desire to be heard? Are you pulling others up in conversation or are you trying to bring or keep them down? Yes. So how the understanding about the need for patience and persistent patience for self and others. The idea that the need to feel that. Okay, so this to me speaks highly on the fact that what I was trying to get at is when it comes to when we feel that our trauma is more deserving of attention than the trauma of someone else, or the recognition we feel is of self is more important than the recognition of others. So kind of going back to that whole concept that I was talking about from if you happen to be watching all the way through, when I was talking about the previous pile, and I was talking about the differences of various groups within society. The reason why there are all these different groups is because the need to be recognized and heard. But when I talk about the idea of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, it's that understanding that we're all in this together. That we all deserve the same patience, understanding, respect as anyone else. And the moment that we tip the scales on that with our arrogance, we continue to inflict further trauma on others and ultimately on ourselves, because the idea and the understanding of the laws of karma, right? So yes, experience and appreciate and be accepting of self, but also bearing in mind that the same love, understanding, and respect that you deserve, so does everyone else. And so we need to be fair in that. I'm hella in my bag. 20. So I'm going to read this one. Because the first thing that wants to come to mind is the fact that, you know, I know that I'm hot stuff, but it's like, don't let that, you know, inflate the ego. But at the same time, give credit where credit is due, right? Okay, so 20. Let me read this one. This is the Golden Mantras Oracle deck. So let me read 20. Okay, so this one is more talking about the idea of abundance. So, and financial security and abundance, right? So, and yielding patience and having persistent patience when building an empire. So, 20. I'm hella in my bag. My love, period. Money is here, or a bag is around the corner, and you're about to get into it. Claim it. Your fortune is here. Trust that it won't miss you. Journal prompt. If my future self could give me 3 pieces of money advice, what would they be? Very good question. Very good question. Then we have the Tower. So when it comes to our finances, taking a look at the ways in which, and this, even like I said, this goes from an individual but all the way up to macro level, right? And so that understanding, well, of course, when the world has been operating on a very arrogant mindset, I spoke about the idea of the majority of the world's finances being held by the very few, right? And that idea of the destructive nature of the arrogance that is held by these people who are holding on to the majority of the world's finances. How unfair and disrespectful and unequal that is for all of us. Every one of us deserves financial abundance. And the only way that's going to happen is if we tear down the old paradigms of how the world, how society, how the governments, what's the word? Delegate our finances. Taking stock of our own individual finances and how we can make things better for ourselves, but also the ways in which society needs to step up in protecting all of human existence. So, there's how are our finances, taxpayers' money being divvied up? Why are certain services lacking in finances? When these are, especially, when we go back and talk about the idea of mental health and how important mental health is, right? And different aspects of health. But there are a lot of financial barriers that come up for various marginalized groups of society. And how can we level the playing field where that is concerned? Restful solitude way, 4 of Swords. And then we have, so to me the 4 of Swords goes to resting after a fallout. Taking the time to reevaluate how we got to that point, and taking that time to rest and regroup. We have the King of Wands. Wow. Maybe certain leaders taking a step back. And 3 of Swords. Learning from the mistakes, the painful mistakes that when we rush things, when we allow our negative aspects of self to overtake and control. Bye-bye, light. And take control. What is currently going on and how it's affecting the whole. So, anyway, so that was pile 1, pile 2, pile 3. Of course, you're feel free to take the messages as you will. What have you gathered from the cards that I've pulled? Feel free to share your thoughts and comments down below. I hope that the messages that I was able to share with you from the cards that I've gathered, that you're able to find value in it, and also allow for that opportunity for reflection, and even what are your thoughts on how the cards sort of spoke together for you, and what are other messages that may have come to mind and during the entire video. If you happen to listen to all 3 piles, even if you just happen to tune in for one, let me know. I'm more than welcome your feedback, and of course, if you made it this far, please, of course, let me know that you have by leaving my signature 3 hearts in the comments below. And I hope that you enjoyed this week's Cup of Love reading for the full moon in Virgo. And with all that being said, thank you for joining me for this. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe. And as I am love and I see myself as such, I know you are too. As I see myself as human, you matter as a human being as well. And as I leave all of this with you today, please, please remember to take care of yourself and one another. And while you're at it, don't forget about me too. I love you so, so much. And as always, remember to check your privilege, mind your magic, and always live, listen, and learn. I love you. Bye.